Today in this tutorial I will show you how to set up a secure MongoDB 3.4 replica set using the enterprise version. Now the first step we have to do is create our directories. So I'll go ahead and create the replica set directories. Open a DOS prompt, and the first directory I will create at the root directory is the MongoDB server 1. The server 1 DB file where we hold our database, the log file, the MongoDB server 2 file, the MongoDB server 2 database directory, and the MongoDB server 2 log directory. And I'm also going to create a key file, which I'll show you in the next step. We will need this later to communicate securely between our replica sets. Key directory. Now that we created the key directory, let's go ahead and create our base64 file. We're using the OpenSSL software. So at the command prompt I type OpenSSL ran is a base64 file, and the size of the base64 file is 741 bytes. And I want to generate that and import it into my MongoDB key file and call it replica key. Okay, the key file has been created. So if I navigate to that directory, do a dir, you see the key file. And if I type it, you'll see that it is base64 encoded. So that step is complete. The next step we need to do is create our MongoDB service files. So the first file I'm going to create is install MongoDB as a service. And this is the command that we're using. MongoDB exe, the config file, points to our MongoDB configuration, install, the service name that we're going to install on the Windows machine, and the service display name. We go ahead and save that. I'll save it as install MongoDB as a service. Mongo as a service. Let's go ahead and save that. So that's our first file. Now the next file we have to create is to remove MongoDB as a service. I go ahead, add that, and save that as remove Mongo as a service, and save that again as a batch file. The next file to create is to start Mongo as a service. And go ahead and save that. Save that as start Mongo as a service. And save that again as a batch file. And then the last file we need to create is the stop Mongo as a service. So go ahead and create a new file and save that as stop Mongo as a service, and save that as a batch file. Now for our second service in our replica set, we need the same 4 files. I'm going to go ahead and copy and save those into that file format. So let me go ahead and do that, and we'll make one minor change. We have to change it to the other server name. First I have to make a change here. Mongo servers 1. I think the other ones are fine. So go ahead and save that. Now I'm going to save that in the other file, so change it to server 2. File, save as. Go up a directory, find Mongo server 2. Save it. Save the remove Mongo as a service. Same thing, go up a directory, Mongo server 2. Save that. Oh yeah, we want to change that to 2, a certain instance. Save it. Start MongoDB as a service, change it to instance 2. Save that as. Mongo server 2. And the last is stop Mongo as a service. Change that to 2. I'll save as. Stop Mongo as a service. So we've created all our batch files that we need. The next file we need to create is our Mongo configuration file. So I create a new file. Cut and paste this. Notice that we have a system long. We tested the destination, the path Mongo server 1, the database where it's stored, and then the key file. And authorization is enabled in here. And then the replica set. For now I'm going to comment this out because I have an additional stuff I have to do later on. But then once I've added my user, I'll go ahead and change these back and turn the security back on. So I'll just comment that out and change authorization to disabled. And save it. Actually, we're going to save this as enter server 1 and MongoDB.cfg config. Save it as all files, all types. Go ahead and save it. And then for our server configuration for server 2, let me make a change to that. Change that to 2. Minor mistake. 2. Same key file. This one I'm going to go ahead and enable it. And change the port to 37. Go ahead and save that. Okay, we've created all our files that we need. Next step, we're going to start the service. Now we're going to go ahead and install our server 1. Notice that I am in a administration command prompt. You need to be in this to install a service in Windows. So let me navigate to our server 1 directory. now that I'm in the MongoDB server 1 directory, I'm going to go ahead and install the Mongo as a service. This will install the service name MongoDB instance 1. And now I'm going to go ahead and start this Mongo service. Start Mongo as a service. Then I'll go ahead and start the service is starting. And it started successfully. I'm going to go ahead and connect to the Mongo shell, connecting to Mongo server 1. Mongo. Default is port 27017. Go ahead and connect to our Mongo shell. Notice that I'm running the MongoDB Enterprise version, which is free for development. And go ahead and create a user. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a super user. So you first need to navigate and use the admin database. Go ahead and switch to DB admin and go ahead and create our super user. User's admin, password's admin, and we give it all the roles, additional roles that we can use later on, like user admin, read write any database, admin any database, or root administrator. Could not add user, not master. Okay, there's a couple additional things I need to do first before I can turn on ReplicaSet and add a user. Let me go ahead and remove the replication. Save that and reinstall it as a service. So get out of there. Clear. Remove MongoDB as a service. Remove the instance 1. Go ahead and install it again with the changes to the configuration file. Start the instance up. Start the Mongo shell. Use the admin database. Create our user. And our user has been successfully created. Exit out of the shell. And edit our configuration. Turn the replication back on. We uncommented our replication. Turn the ReplicaSet name on to ReplicaSet and turn the authorization back on. So enable that. Save it. Go back to our server. Remove the service. Anytime we make changes to configuration set, we have to remove the service and install it again. So go ahead and install it. Start our service. So our service is successfully started. Now I'm going to go ahead and start up the other service, server 2. Go ahead and install it. Install it. Start the service up. Instance 2 is starting up. Now if I go into the Mongo shell for server 2, let's see what it does. Now it doesn't show anything yet. We haven't initiated our set yet, so I change back to server 1. And try to connect to the default port. Notice it hasn't changed anything. Same thing. It says MongoDB Enterprise. We need to initiate the replica set. So let me go ahead and connect. And I'm going to connect as the admin. Admin, password admin. Authentication database, which is admin, and enter. Okay, now we've connected in the Mongo shell. Now I have to do the rs initiate command. Go ahead and do that. This is where we initiate the replication set, and these are the members of the replication set. Our primary, which is 27017, and our host, our secondary, which is 37017. Go ahead and enter. If everything's fine, we should get OK back, and it's OK. Now notice that it says ReplicaSet Other. Now it says secondary, enter, enter, and primary. So our ReplicaSet sets have been set up. So the primary set up. Let me exit out of that Mongo shell. Now try to connect to our secondary 7017, and it says secondary. So our Mongo shells have been up and running. So we've successfully created a replica set. Now it's time to test our replica set. So let me exit out of that. Clear screen. And to test this, I'm going to use RoboMongo. So I'm in the RoboMongo. Go ahead and connect. I've already had a couple connections established earlier, so let me go ahead and select those. This is the primary. This is a primary that's loaded. And let me connect to the secondary. Well, the secondary is loaded. Now, how do we know a replica set is working? Well, there's one way to find out. Let's add a database and see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and create a database. I'll call it test database, testDB. Create the database and refresh. Notice nothing is there yet. We haven't done anything. I haven't added any collections. Let me go ahead and add a collection. Call it test collection. Create it. So we created a test collection. Let's go ahead and do a refresh. So notice that now we have a new database added and with a test collection. Now let's try to add a test collection to the replica set. Let's see what happens. A document to the replica set, see what happens. I'll call it foo and bar. Validate it. Okay, it's valid. Let's save it. Let's see what happens. It didn't add it. Notice nothing was added. That is our replica set, our secondary. You can only add values or documents to our primary. We'll go ahead and insert a document. Save it. So we've added one collection. So we see it here. Let's see if it's been replicated. And you notice it has successfully been replicated. So this is showing you how to create a replica set using one primary and one secondary in MongoDB Enterprise 3.4 with authorization turned on. I hope this has been helpful to you. Thank you. And if you have any comments, leave them down below. Thanks.